Welcome, Gun Runner.
Hello everybody, Kieran aka the Laird here, and I am here with a new episode of Modern Retro, which I haven't done one of these in God knows how long actually. I can't remember what the last one I did was. It's been so long since I did one. I just haven't had a chance to film them, and I've been doing lots of other different stuff for my midweek videos, especially the Laird's Lowdown videos, which you seem to really like. But I had to come back to this series again, certainly this week, because we've just had the release of the Atari 50 DLC, as you probably know, and that is the Wider World of Atari, as you can see on the screen right now. And I thought it'd be great to investigate this. I've just downloaded it. I've not even had a look at it myself, so actually this is fresh for me as well as you watching it, if you haven't seen it already, of course. So I thought it would be cool to have a look through it together and see if it's worth it. I believe I just paid £11 something for it. I think it's a weird price, like £11.46 or something like that in the Xbox store, because I have an Xbox One. Obviously, so prices in other stores may differ, and prices on other countries and also may differ as well. So let's have a look at the Wider World of Atari and see what we've got in here. Why my TV said game mode off, I don't know, because I'm still in game. Why has it just done that? Okay, there was a little glitch there, because I was trying to start Wider World of Atari, and it hadn't actually finished downloading, which I thought it had, so I was a bit premature in trying to play it. So, like the other parts of Atari 50, which you've just seen on the menu screen, it's a timeline, as you can see, that starts off right back at the beginning, really, just before the release of the Atari 2600 in 1976. So the original influencer. So they're trying to kind of use a lot of today's terminology to try and make it seem more relevant, I suppose, to people who don't know about this stuff. So talking about fact that they had started off not just making arcade machines, but were a distributor as well. The birth of Breakout, so you've got a video there. I assume this is the people who made it. Yeah, Al Alcorn. We won't watch all of that because take ages to watch this stuff. So visual storytelling. So you've got like the flyers and stuff like that here. And then Destroyer, so it's got some more arcade stuff, which is great to see. So there we go, we've got Destroyer, not a particularly well-known Atari arcade game. Great artwork there. So if I remember rightly, this is something a bit like Seawolf. So let's start this one so we can have a look, because it's interesting to see, isn't it? There we go. So they've even put, obviously these old games were black and white, so they often put those sort of acetate backgrounds in to make them seem a bit more exciting, which is obviously what they've done here. They've replicated it. So yeah, this is like Seawolf, where you've got to destroy. You have to move that line into where you want to drop your bombs. Not particularly exciting, but yeah, it was Atari's answer to Seawolf. So we've got lots of settings like we do on the other games. We'll look at that in a minute. Then we've got Superbug. Again, we've got all the extra info there, so we can look at the flyers and stuff. If I remember rightly, wasn't this done by oh, what's his name? God, he was at Atari for years. Dennis Coble, I believe, works on Superbug. So if you're not familiar with it, we'll have a look. Basically drive a beetle around. where you see the Beetle is coloured yellow. It was just literally just a sticker in the middle of the screen, which I showed quite well here. And yeah, you just drove it around. That made it obviously seem like there was some colour in the game. You have to change gear. But at the time, you know, this was a really, really advanced driving game for the time. Got to go down a gear again. I can't work out what's down gear. There we go. Ah, I see. It's actually pretty fast, isn't it, really? Yeah, very, very clever driving game for the time. You think how top-down races evolved, and you think of later stuff like maybe supercars for the ST and Amiga. Certainly bears an uncanny resemblance to what Superbug was doing. I'm not going to play each game for too long because I don't want the video to be massively long. I just want to kind of give you a flavour for each game. We looked at Superbug. Then you've got Skydiver, which I think a lot of people will be familiar with for the 2600 version, of course, which it shows there. So Jim Huther did that. Jim Huther, a lot of people will know him quite well because he was the model for the knight on the cover of the Warlords box. That image was based on the look of Jim Huther wearing a helmet. So he also programmed quite a few games for Atari, but I think people mostly remember him for being on the cover of Warlords. So Skydiver, I think probably most people know Skydiver quite well because I say because of that 2600 port. But you just literally were trying to land these guys on the pads, as you can see, with it playing on the demo mode there. So I'm not going to play this one much, really. You kind of know what it's about. Just notice it's cutting off the bottom of the screen though, so let's try and fix that. Okay, so it's cutting off the bottom of the screen. I've tried just to angle it a little bit better. I think I've got a little bit better. This is a problem when you're not using video capture and you're just filming with a phone. But apologies for that. So yeah, that's Skydiver. So I think we know all about Skydiver. So mostly from the 2600 version. But you'll see there when you go into these game options, have a quick look at these. You can look at that flyer again. You can look at the controls. You can change the screen mode. So if you want to be a complete weirdo and stretch it, which looks awful, or you can have the proper pixel ratio, which makes it a lot smaller, obviously. Full is the best, I think, with the border on. You can turn filters on and off, so you can make it look... I'm not usually a fan of filters, but on this I actually think they look really good. The border on and off, obviously. Dip switch settings on some games as well. Avalanche. So Avalanche is pretty cool because it's the game that Kaboom was based on, which it mentions there. It says, cited Avalanche as a direct inspiration for his Activision game Kaboom. That's not true because Larry Kaplan worked at Atari before Activision, and Avalanche actually started off, Kaboom started off as support of Avalanche for the 2600, which he couldn't do. Then he bummed off to Activision, and then he kind of took the concept and turned it into Kaboom, really. So yeah, it was a bit more than influenced, it was literally just ripped it off. So there's the nice arcade flyer. There's this is the Atari 8-bit version, and I was about to say what's interesting about it is Dennis Coble did this, who I mentioned a moment ago, and he did the arcade version and the Atari 8-bit version, which is quite unusual to see both being done by the same person. So we'll go to that because I don't think many people will be that aware of Avalanche. People will be more aware of Kaboom, obviously, but you'll see straight away how Kaboom is directly inspired by Avalanche. You've got more of these to catch it with. And the reason why Avalanche didn't work on the 2600, becomes quite obvious straight away because it just couldn't get this many sprites on screen. So I lose one of my things because I missed. So yeah, it's a good game, gets very fast. So if you like Kaboom, you will like Avalanche. So yeah, very, very similar game. Atari Football, with its famous X's and O's characters. There's the 4-player version, there's a 2-player version with the trap balls, some nice little facts and stuff. We'll have a quick look at this. I'm not going to play it, this one. I just want to kind of, so you can see a little bit about it, how it works with its X's and O's, as you can see. Very, very, very primitive attempt to create a game based on football, but I think it was the first American football, I should say. I think it was the first American football video game, so very primitive indeed, but you have to give it credit where credit is due. Then there's another video there talking about Red Baron, I believe, in the early Vector games. So Golden Asteroids, there's Red Baron in there as well, which you can play. So Red Baron, a lot of people basically described it as Battle Zone, but in the air, and it's certainly easy to see why, because as you can see, that's basically what it is. You fly around and you shoot down enemy planes. It wasn't as successful as Battle Zone, which is a shame because it's actually a very good game. But I think what it lacked was it isn't quite as tactical as Battle Zone. So obviously with Battle Zone, you could, you know, you could hide behind, you know, the buildings and stuff like that. It was a bit more tactical than Red Baron. Just getting the ground, you know, the installations like that is quite difficult, as you can see. But yeah, Red Baron's a very, very cool game. And interesting fact is that Warbirds on the Atari Lynx was originally going to be called Red Baron, and it was designed as a sequel to this game, which explains why it is a lot like Warbirds on the Lynx. I'm not sure why they originally changed the name to Warbirds. And then there's actually a game that was released much later by Infogrames Atari, which I think is called something like Warbirds 2 Red Baron or something like that, or Red Baron 3 Warbirds or something like that, which is basically a third game, but which is it's probably even less well known. Yes, so yeah, Warbird, there is a franchise to this because Warbirds is the second game. I got shot, but that's a really cool game. I actually really like Red Baron, and I think it's really, really underrated. I like that with the Vector game. Look, you can increase the glow. You can make the vectors glow more, which I think is a very cool setting. Then it's got talking about the different divisions in Atari. So obviously, Coin of Consumer. It talks about the Sears, where they licensed it out, and there was some Sears exclusive games, though not many. One was Steeplechase, a conversion of the Atari arcade game, which I'll just show you. So Steeplechase, this one used the paddles, which was quite clever, so you could have 4 players, but it was basically just trying to race to the finish line first. It's not really that much to it, to be honest with you. But yeah, just jumping the fences and trying to get to the end. But interesting game for the time. It's more, you need other players to play Steeplechase, really. It's not so much fun on your own. Stellar Strack, which is basically, if you've ever played the old text-based Star Trek game, that's what Stellar Track is, basically. I'll show you. It's not very exciting, but yeah. So it's all done with text, which is really clever. Very clever indeed. So this was one of the other Sears exclusives. And there's Submarine Commander, which is the other one, which I'll show you very briefly. So you can go into the different options there. So obviously this is a bit like Seawolf as well, actually. Or what was there? Was a game that was more like this. Was it Cruise Missile by Taito? Might have been. There was another game that was a bit more like this thing. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, quite a cool, colourful game, as you can see. Then we've got Evelyn Soto, The Art of Atari, so one of Atari's designers there, talking about her artwork. Box art concepts, alternate Atari logo, so lots of stuff from the design side of things. There's some nice artwork for voice controller boxes. The voice controller was never released because they couldn't get it to work well enough, from what I understand. It was quite flawed. And this is quite cool because obviously since they made the first Atari 50, Atari bought a crap load more IP in television most prominently, but also Stern. A lot of people forget they bought all Stern's arcade games. So they've now got Berzerk, which is very, very cool to have on here. So, I mean, I'm never going to say, oh crap, I hit the wrong button there. I'm never going to moan at the inclusion of Arcade Berzerk because it's such a brilliant game. So let's go to play, and we can see how accurate it is. Because I have to say that the Berzerk Recharged that Atari did is crap, and I was really disappointed by how bad it was. So it's nice to have a real version of Berzerk. All the speech. That's brilliant. Yeah, not getting me, mate. So look, how cool is this? Proper arcade Berzerk in all its glory. Absolutely brilliant arcade game. Very loud, amazing speed. I can literally be here all day playing this because I absolutely bloody love Berzerk. And to be honest, this DLC to me is almost worth downloading just to play Berzerk because it is such a good game. Yeah, you're not getting me, mate. Oh, I really thought I could get him, but I will be on Berzerk for ages if I don't leave now. So let's go out. So then we've got some other stuff about Berzerk, including supposedly someone dying from playing it. And then we also have Frenzy, of course, a sequel to Berzerk. So again, I said it was almost worth buying for Berzerk on its own, but it's certainly worth buying to get Frenzy as well, isn't it? I mean, Frenzy's great because the main difference with Frenzy is the fact that you shoot through the walls. Look how many enemies you've got to face. Well, compared to Berzerk, and you'll see all these different enemy types. You'll see my shots bouncing off the walls there as well. There's some very cool differences with Berzerk. There we go. That's Frenzy. Absolutely awesome game. Love Frenzy. Never going to complain about having that there. Then here's Atari 2600 Berzerk, which they've now put on here, of course. And this is the enhanced version as well. So they added voice to it, which we'll find out in a moment. So the 2600 port was good, apart from two things. It didn't have the voice and you couldn't shoot diagonal. So you'll see that you now can shoot diagonal. and it's got speech, which is a marvel for 2600 game. This is the one that Atari released on cartridge to buy quite recently, and now you can play it on Atari 50 as well. Which is great to have, isn't it? Isn't that brilliant? Berzerk 2600 with diagonal firing and the speech. What a great version of the game it is. Some people say they even prefer the Atari 2600 version. So, but we all know about that, I think. And we've got a lot to get through. So let's go back out. Tips on how to play Berzerk. Artwork. There's the Atari 5200 version, which did have the speech, of course. It showed it off on the box. It was voice enhanced. Same as the Atari 8-bit version. I'm not going to show you that because we've already showed a few versions of Berzerk. It's a very, very good version though. Atari Video Cube, which was originally, or the other way around, it was a Rubik's Cube game. So it actually says later reissued with the Rubik's Cube license. It's the other way around. So it's originally only members of the Atari Club. I actually have an Atari Video Cube cartridge. It's the rarest 2600 game I own, I believe. So basically, yeah, you move this guy around and you have to shift the squares to try and get them all in place. So very clever, but not saying I'm going to spend some time playing because we don't have much time. I'll be here all day. So we have the 2600 version of Desert Falcon. Because it wasn't on the original one had the 7800 version on it, not the 2600 version. The 2600 one was done by Bob Polaro, who did lots of stuff. Says their Defender. He also did Rampage, I believe, and Real Sports Volleyball. Very accomplished 2600 program. The Defender wasn't so good, but Desert Falcon's a brave attempt, but yeah, ultimately quite difficult because isometric perspectives don't work very well on the 2600, so it's really hard to judge actually where objects are and your height of them and stuff. This game will always be best played on the 7800 where it's magnificent, but there it is anyway. I'll show you it very, very briefly. Then we've got Double Dunk, which I had as a kid, so this is a real favourite of mine, but I want to show you for one reason mainly, because it's got an amazing intro. I mean, how many 2600 games have intros? And look at this. Very good music for 2600 with the dancing basketball players. Absolutely brilliant. I remember being blown away by this when I first played it because I hadn't seen an intro like this in any 2600 game. And then you get into the game and it's a really, really good 2-on-2 basketball game, as you'll see. Very good indeed. So eat that, NBA Jam. It's as close as you'll get to it on the 2600. Very, very good game. Off the Wall, which is another great late 2600 game. So it's got some of the later games on here, these red box releases that were done by Tramalera Atari. So Off the Wall was actually done by Axlon, who were then Nolan Bushnell's company. So Nolan Bushnell famously designed Off the Wall. And you see there's the Axlon logo. And it's basically Breakout. But you've got a kind of, looks like centipede on the top who bounces around. So you get bonus points for killing him. You've got power-ups, which is really cool, like Arkanoid. Yeah, you just bounce in your ball around like that, like you do with Breakout. And Off the Wall is a brilliant game. Much, much better than Breakout is. Very good indeed. Really good. So if you've never played Off the Wall, you should do. Really good. Motor Radio, another really groundbreaking late game. I think it was the last game released in America, but Steve DeFrisco did this at Axlon again. I've interviewed Steve DeFrisco about this. He was a great guy. Really enjoyed chatting to him. So Motor Radio, the clever thing about this is, which you'll see in a moment, I'm just going to go into it, is that it's split screen. So he managed to make a split screen 2600 game, which is really clever. But you do jumps and tricks and It is so clever. Really cool game, very cool indeed. Great against the second player. The fact you managed to do a split screen game on the 2600 is just incredible. More video stuff. There's Adventure 2, which is a homebrew version of Adventure, which has much better visuals, bigger game, more story and stuff like that. So much better visuals, they don't look much better here. I think it's because I played the 5200 version, which looks a lot better. But yeah, so similar kind of thing to the original Adventure. I'm thinking of the 5200 one that has much better visuals. Return to Haunted House, another homebrew. So that's quite cool. Look at that very briefly. So you see it's pretty much more of just the same. With you know, similar kind of graphics and stuff. So yeah, I just want to show you it very quickly. So it's nice they've put some homebrew stuff in here as well. Searching for prototypes, interesting. Aqua Adventure, which is a prototype, a very interesting one at that, and a very good game actually. So we'll go into this one because I actually think it's a really good game. There we go. It reminded me a little bit of Sequest by Activision, apart from the fact it's not single screen. See, because we can dive down. So we've got to get this treasure down here, which I've messed up, but that's the idea. As we dive down, try to collect this treasure. And we get back to the top before the air runs out, which as you can see. Yeah, good game, very good game. I'd imagine it would have done really well if they had they released it, because it's actually a very good game. And Save Mary is a game that wasn't released, but it's a very interesting prototype because it was actually widely advertised, featured in catalogues. It's interesting that's the wrong box art though, which is quite funny because that shows silver box, and Save Mary was a red box game, or should have been. In fact, somewhere I have a scan from an Argos catalogue in the UK that lists Save Mary in the Argos catalogue. So that shows how close it must have been to release, that that they actually included it in an Argos catalogue as being available to buy, with a price and code number and everything. But it's a very kind of cool puzzle game. I'll show you it quickly. This is another one that Axelon did. But this is Todd Fry, who did Pac-Man, of course. So basically you've got to pick up these girders and then you've got to place them down there. So Mary can jump on them basically. You've got to get her out of this oh, I killed Mary. But that's what you've got to do. So it's a good game, very worth playing. Futuristic since forever, and then that's it. So it's just a short timeline, extra timeline, as I say. I mean, it was just under £12 to buy, and I think for what's on it, it was well worth it. Lots of extra stuff, videos to watch, a really good selection of games. I mean, I think all the games on here are good, probably. I mean, Save Mary, excellent 2600 game, nothing else quite like it. Aqua Adventure's good. Return to Haunted House and Adventure 2 interesting, not my kind of thing, but Motor Radio is really good. Off the Wall's great, Double Dunk's great. Desert Falcon's a bit rubbish actually, that's not the best either. But Berzerk and Frenzy make it worth owning on their own. So it's a shame they put some more Stern games on here, but we'll see what else they come up with. But yeah, as a DLC, it's well worth buying, and I heartily recommend everyone goes and buys it. And I'll be interested to see what they come up with next in terms of DLC, because it would be really nice if they put the Atari ST into Atari 50, because it isn't, and I criticised it when it first came out when I did my original review of Atari 50, which I have linked down in the description. I did criticise them for not including any Atari ST stuff, but Digital Eclipse did a Jeff Minter collection quite recently, which of course I looked at on the channel as well. I'll link that down below. And on the Jeff Minter collection that they did put some Atari ST games on there. So that means there is something within Atari and Digital Eclipse, obviously, who they now own, and Digital Eclipse obviously did Atari 50 as well. To, you know, they have got experience now of putting Atari ST games on things. They've obviously got an emulator that works for them and stuff. So hopefully we see some Atari ST stuff put onto Atari 50 in the future. And also it'd be nice to see some more Lynx games, maybe some more 2600 games. But I really wanted to show you the Wider World of Atari timeline, all the extra stuff they've put on there, and yeah, all these extra stuff I think really makes it worth buying. But yeah, that's my look at the new Atari 50 DLC. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I've been the Laird as always, and I'll see you all again for another video very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.